Good morning, everyone. Today we have with us Neha Bhosle. She is from Mumbai and she has secured All India Rank 15 in the year 2019. So we welcome you, Neha. Many congratulations. We are so glad to have you.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Even I'm very glad to join this talk. Thank you.
Okay. So Neha, actually the purpose of this interaction is so that we can learn from your experience and the aspirants they can learn from your experience. Especially I came to know that your interview it happened during the lockdown. So it
Yes,
would
sir.
have been a very different experience compared to what usually rest of the aspirants have. So can you share your experience and the strategy for preparation?
Sure.
Regarding
Uh,
interview, especially in the context of it happening in the lockdown?
yes, sir. So first, I'll start with the strategy. What happened was after the mains, I was fairly sure of getting an interview call. So I took 1 month off and I started preparing my DAF. So I prepared a content worth 3 minutes for every single word in my DAF, like everything, right from surname to school's name to the colony's name, everything. 3 minute content on each word. And I also went through some of the last year transcripts and saw what all questions were asked. And I prepared some of the answers related to, say, my hobbies or some other profiles which were similar to mine. And then two things happened. One, the result came late instead of December, it came in January. So by that time, I was only doing my DAF and I went through my sociology notes twice just for revision because I had seen that there was no point in doing current affairs from so many months earlier. Generally, 1.5 months before the interview is when you should start doing current affairs, is what I feel. So once the result came in January, I also started reading The Hindu, Mint, and Indian Express. I was reading all three papers. But then in March, the lockdown started. And very honestly, once the lockdown started, I absolutely stopped studying. I was just watching TV shows, watching whatever I could, doing whatever I couldn't do in all like right from 2017. So, and then when finally again the dates came, it was June, and then suddenly the panic started. Oh my god, I haven't studied anything for almost 3 months now. Then again, same. I started reading the Hindu, Express, and Mint. I just revised whatever notes I had for my DAF. And my interview was on the first day itself, on 20 July, forenoon session, and I was the first person to go in. So the first person to be interviewed by that board post Corona. And one strange thing that happened was, so when we went there, we were given gloves, we were given the mask, we were given a face shield. And when I went for my interview, when I actually went inside that room, I never thought that we should, sit and speak wearing all these itself. Once the interview started, I asked sir, can I remove these? And I removed both my shield and my mask and gave the whole interview. Only later, when I checked Telegram, I understood that people were giving the interview wearing both of those things. So at least my interview was similar to what it would have been before COVID because I was neither wearing the mask nor the shield. But I was worried that maybe I shouldn't have asked this. And
Okay.
the interview experience was fine. It was the only issue I had was it felt slightly short. It was around 20-22 minutes. I was expecting at least half an hour type of an interview from what I had seen of previous transcripts. So that was my only worry. Otherwise, it was fine. I was expecting around 170. Looking at the rank, I think I've got probably a little more than that also.
Good. So please tell the students that how did you maintain this clarity about opinion? Because usually students they ask that, sir, should we read Hindu because it is sort of like a little left wing? Should we read some other because other newspaper because at times editorials they come very opinionated. So how were you able to extract the relevant things which from the perspective of a bureaucrat without being getting biased? So is there any way which should be followed by the students?
Not, not really. I was reading both the Hindu and the Indian Express. I was extracting whatever data I could from that, and my plan was depending on whatever the question would be asked, give as much data as possible, like we do in the mains answer. At least I had planned that similar to mains answer, just quote as many facts, as many data as you can, even in the interview. I wasn't asked any current affairs question, but if I had been, that is what I would have done. And if I had been asked any opinion based question, again, I wasn't asked any. I would have tried to stick to the stand that supports the current government, because going against the current government or uh, talking too much in the way the Hindu talks is, I would say, may result in less marks in the interview. So I wasn't asked those type of questions, but that is what my strategy would have been. The Hindu is very good for reading, very good for taking some of the information, but avoid quoting that even in mains, even in interview, is what I would say.
Good. So, the next question is related to this coronavirus, the challenges produced by the coronavirus. From your experience, what would be your suggestions to the students that how to go about preparation for the UPSC, given that in the coronavirus the physical coaching classes, etc., they are not taking place, and reliance on the online mode of learning has really increased. So what would be your suggestions? Would you recommend any online tools, any softwares, or what would be your suggestions? How should the
So,
students they deal with this challenge?
so I had joined online classes only for GS Foundation, for ethics, and even for sociology. So, in fact, I think online classes are better than physical classes, because you can watch the videos at a faster speed. So, I almost watched all the lectures at a speed of 1.5x. So, it saves your time, plus it also helps improve your writing speed, because you are making running notes with the lecture. So, obviously, you have to write faster if you're watching the video at a faster speed. So, tools, as such, if you are joining such online classes, just follow their lectures. But if you are not joining any classes, if you are planning to watch something on YouTube, I would just say be a little judicious when it comes to looking for videos on YouTube, because now what has happened is it is very easy for anyone to make a channel and start their own uh, classes, or start their own free channel for UPSC preparation. But not all channels may be good. Not all channels may be teaching in the proper manner. So just because there is something on YouTube or there is some video available on Telegram, don't just blindly run behind it. Only look for videos which are taught by good faculty, or are from reputed coaching institutions, because almost every 2 weeks you'll find some or the other new YouTube channel being made. Avoid running after them. You'll just waste your time, and you never know, most of them might also be students like you, and they're just making that video for their own revision, or for to help to understand if they themselves have understood the questions. So the quality may not be that good. So this is what I would like to say. And apart from that, I think COVID is probably a very good time for students, because anyways you cannot go outside. None of your friends are going to call you to their place. You don't have theaters or malls open, so you might as well sit at home and study. So I think that's what you need to do.
I'm damn sure that all avenues for breaks are being
Yeah,
taken away
yeah, yeah,
because of the
yeah,
coronavirus. Well,
yeah,
that also reminds me in a way that to tell you, to convey to you that how proud we are. You are a regular student of the Vision
yeah.
IS classroom program. So the
Thank
Vision
you,
IS, I'm told it's very, very proud of you, and
thank
well,
you,
all the blessings for you.
thank you so much.
Yeah. So, looking at your profile, you had a very successful career in the private sector, or you were
Yes,
bound to have a very successful career in the private sector. You are
mm,
passed out from IM Lucknow, which
yes.
is one of the top management institutes. So, what prompted you to leave that path and begin your journey for this path? Was there any motivation? What was the drive?
It just happens. What happened was, some of my friends, some of my batchmates, some of my seniors had been preparing for this exam, and I wasn't very sure if I should do this because I had my plan set. So my role model was Indra Nui ma'am, and like her, like she did her MBA from IIM Calcutta and then went to Yale and then settled in the USA and reached a very good position there. So even my plan was to, after finishing my MBA here, work for some years, write GMAT, and then go abroad and just settle there. I even wrote GMAT, and I had planned to start applying to universities, but this lingering thought always remained at the back of my mind that, I should just maybe try this exam one. A lot of my friends were telling me that, you should give it one shot. And they said, I'd seen the syllabus once and the syllabus did look interesting, but I still was vacillating a lot. But then I finally said that, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do it once, so that if I do well, if I get a good rank, mashallah, good and very good. But even if I don't, I will have that peace of mind that, okay, I tried it once. It's okay. I couldn't get a good rank. Now I can go peacefully join my university and settle there. So with that thought in mind, I left my job in 2017, and actually 2018 attempt was going to be my one and only attempt. But I could not clear mains in that attempt. I missed mains very narrowly. And then, may sound funny, but I was like, ego hurt ho gaya, yaar, how could I not clear? Then I thought, no, let me just give this one more attempt. And isme to fodna hi hai. And so, yeah, I gave the second attempt, and thankfully I got a good rank here. Yeah.
And you
So it
pass
just
with flying
happened, I
colors.
would say. Yeah,
That's so
it
great.
just happened.
Okay.
Because,
So,
I could have gone for my MBA. So a GMAT score is valid for 5 years. I could have gone maybe, if not this year, maybe next year or any time. But if not CSE now, I couldn't give CSE say 10 years from today. So I just had to get this one thing off my checklist that, okay, एक बार देकर देख लिया आपने, बहुत हो गया. Yeah, that way.
you put it so simply, Neha, एक बार दे के देख लिया.
Yeah, I have to give it twice, unfortunately. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
no
that's
regrets.
good. The attitude
Yeah.
matters, that you take life not so seriously. You put in all your hard work, but you
Yeah.
do not take life so seriously. That's a
Yeah.
great learning from you. Okay. So, what would be your advice, like from your experience? How should a working professional approach it? Is it possible for a working professional to clear the exam, or he has to, or she has to compulsorily leave the job? And if he or she is not leaving the job, then how to go about it? Any tips regarding the preparation? Something
When
on the
I had
lines that maybe, like, one thing which is coming off my mind is that if I am a working professional, I'm preparing, I would be like, okay, I will not be reading the newspapers thoroughly,
yeah.
rather I'll go for the gist which is given by someone, some entity, maybe some coaching institute. So, like, what would be your tips for working professionals, and is it compulsory to leave the job, or you can still clear it
So
without
when
leaving
I
it?
was working, I did start my initial preparation while working. Unfortunately, I couldn't balance both my job and my preparation. What I was doing at that point of time was preparing my optional, and then I thought about 2 months before the prelims, I would have taken leave and then get into full-fledged prelims preparation. But it just wasn't happening. Even my optional preparation wasn't going great. If you cannot leave your job, then try at least those 2 months before the prelims and the entire gap between the prelims and the mains. If you can get leave for that period, it would be really good. But if not, try to utilize your time as much as you can. Don't take on additional responsibilities at work, and don't try to have your foot in both the boats. Don't run after good appraisal ratings. Also, getting good projects, uh, getting good opportunities when it comes to your work, and then also think that, okay, I'll prepare well for UPSC CSE also. You have to choose one ultimately. But if for some reason you cannot quit your job, do please use every minute that you get very carefully. Yes, like sir said, obviously you cannot read the newspaper every day. That just takes too much time. So just read, say, the Vision magazine or Secure or whichever material you prefer. Then while traveling, try to read. Then even in your lunch break or even while working, just see, even if you get 5 or 10 minutes off, just have something in your phone that you can read with regards to UPSC. But if you're a working profession, one thing you should do is complete your optional first, so that between that gap in prelims and mains, you have your notes ready. You just go through them, and your optional remains your strong point. Current affairs, anyways, you have to do in that period, be it those 2 months before the prelims or the period between the prelims and the mains. That is enough for current affairs. But whatever optional, and if possible even the static portion of GS, do it before the exams. Do it well in advance before the exams. And lastly, I would say, while working, avoid anything else apart from going to office. So we have a lot of work-related trips or offsites or work parties. Please avoid all of them. People may think you're a snob. People may think, oh, I mean, why? What's her problem? What's his problem? Ignore them. It's okay. And if you're working, I think government organizations are slightly more supportive when it comes to their employee preparing for this exam. But if you're in the private sector, maybe just avoid telling anyone what you're up to. If they see you're reading something, just pretend as if, okay, I'm just reading news. Anyone can read news. It's not necessary that only someone preparing for an exam is reading news. Just do it that way. And avoid using any printed material, because that is very easily visible. So read whatever you are in your phone if you don't want your co-employees and your bosses to know what you're doing. And one thing I had done was, after I left my job, at least on paper, I was working as a co-founder in one of my friend's startup. Now, I know this is an ethical gray area. Please don't judge my GS4 marks based on this. But, if you are in a dilemma, if monetary issues don't exist as such, but if you are in a dilemma as to, do I leave my job? What if, will I be able to return back to the corporate sector if this doesn't happen? So, this was what I had done. On paper, I was working in a startup. So I knew if I had to go back to the corporate sector, I would have a job to show for this period also. And again, I know this is an ethical gray area, but it is something that we have to do. HRs and private sector organizations are just not as considerate about gaps in employment as maybe government sector employers are. So maybe you could try something like this if monetary issues don't exist. And let me just clarify, I did not write this in my UPSC DAF. This was only in case I wanted to go for MBA or in case I wanted to join some other job. Yeah.
Well, on the contrary, Neha, I would say that it's not in the ethically gray area, but it's like smart thinking. Because seriously, because nowhere it is written that if you are part of a startup, then you have to be there. You have to be, searching for office space. That you have to be very actively be there, because there are silent partners in the companies. Then that's legally totally true. And I'm pretty damn sure, given your background of IIM Lucknow, if your startup partners, if they would ever have wanted any contribution from you in terms of like if they are facing any difficulties, then you would have obviously, you are not so busy that you cannot get on a call and you cannot discuss ideas, right? So even that means a intellectual contribution. So I don't think it lies in the ethically gray area. Rather, I think it lies in the smart area.
Yeah, but I avoided writing this in the DAF. It would have been very unfair.
That's fine,
DAF,
because then
I
they
think
would have
UPSC is okay
asked you
with gaps
questions
when it comes
about some activities which you might not have actually done. So what I extract from your answer is that, first of all, dedication is very important. Second thing, you highlighted the use of multimedia, multiple media. That is, even if you are getting a 10 minutes break, then do this, do that, not just written material, but even small short videos. That's great. Third is time utilization. So even when you're working, then try to get the news wrapped up during your preparation, during your on the job kind of a thing. So yeah, that's great derivatives. Yeah. The next question that I have for you is regarding the preparation. When any student he or she begins the preparation, the dilemma is there that whether one should join a classroom program, that is coaching, or one should go for self-study. Is self-study enough? or a classroom program should be joined. So what are your views and from your experience?
I see for GS, it's your choice. If you can join class for GS as well, do join. But optional, I would say, do try and join, because optional is the only paper where you can really, really take your score very high. So it would be good if you join a class for your optional subject. GS, it's your choice. But if you are not joining a class for GS, then just go through the books, please. Don't keep on searching for videos on Telegram and then think that, okay, I'll watch maybe this institute's this video, this institute's this video, because then you'll get confused. 10 people will tell you 10 things that, okay, maybe watch this professor's video or maybe watch this one's. If you're not joining a class for GS, then don't look for videos. Just go through the books. Just study from the books. And optional, do please definitely join a class if you can. And especially for humanities optional, for people like us who are coming from an engineering background. Now my option was sociology. It sounds very easy because we just have to write about the society and we are part of the society. So you might be tempted to think that it is not rocket science. I can write it with whatever books that I'm reading. But using that approach, say at 260, 265 is very easily achievable through just general answer writing and the kind of books that are available, at least for sociology. But taking that to 300, you need to do a lot of answer writing and you need a bit of coaching for how to think sociologically, how to uh, present your points in such a manner that it would look more refined. It would, say, for a 20 marker, it would lead to 12 or 13 marks instead of, say, 10 marks. So, humanities optional do look easy, but if you really want to touch 300 and more, I would say do take coaching if possible. And secondly, it is like this. Say there's a gym in your housing complex or there's a gym in your office versus you pay and take some gym membership. Now, in which case are you more likely to attend? Obviously, in the second case, because you have paid money there. So it's similar with coaching institutes. If you're downloading something for free on Telegram, you may not watch it with that much dedication. You may not follow the routine with that kind of dedication, versus if you have paid money to some institute, you obviously, at least for that sake, you will go and attend, you will write those tests, you will try and make notes from those lectures. Especially for test series, this is very true, because you have paid for it, you will write it. So that's what I would say.
And okay, and so according to you, what was the strategy? I'll come to the test series. That's like on my agenda. So, but if I'm trying to move it in a sequential manner from my side. So I want to tinker on the subject of prelims. So what were your strategy regarding prelims, and were there any sources which you referred to, any mock tests which you gave for prelims? So how should it be? What are the resources for prelims, and what was your strategy?
I'm very scared of prelims. Like, of the three stages, prelims was the only one that scared me. I got only 98 marks last year, the same as the cutoff. And even this year, I was getting around 104, 105. Again, not a very great score.
Okay.
My issue with prelims was there's just so many facts to remember. And I only refer to those standard textbooks only. One textbook per subject, apart from my class notes that I made from vision lectures. So, apart from those vision lecture notes and whatever PPT some of the professors gave, for polity I used M. Lakshmikant. For history, for modern Indian history, I used Bipin Chandra sir's old textbook and India's Struggle for Independence. Then for art and culture, Nitin Singhania sir's book. Medieval history, Satish Chandra sir's book. Ancient history, R.S. Sharma sir's book. These two are the books. They are not the old NCRTs. The textbooks, the new books that were published are slightly more refined version of those old NCRTs. So I refer to them. Then for economy, Ramesh Singh sir's book. Geography, those four NCRTs. And for environment, the Shankar IAS book. Apart from that, I made some notes for history because history just had so many facts. I even made notes from the new NCRTs, those class 5, 6, 7, and no, sorry, class 6, 7, 8, and class 12. Even those new NCRTs, I had gone through them once to make prelim specific notes for history. And apart from that, I'd used those ready reckoners that came. Ready reckoners by La Excellence, and some of the crux notes and summary of the standard books by Desire IS. So they have a very good summary of Shankar's environment book and Spectrum, Rajiv Ahir sir's Spectrum summary by Desire IS. I read those and my own history notes. Apart from that, for current affairs, I was reading the Vision magazine. I'd highlighted some of the prelim specific points in those magazines and I revised them. Then I referred to PT 365, Vision PT 365, and I also read Rao's Prelims Compass 1. Once, the good thing about that Prelims Compass is it has both the static portion and the current affairs portion. So I also read that once. Apart from that, there were some small documents like one was Shankar's, like on IS Parliament, you will find a document about organizations, international organizations. Then you'll find one about reports and indices. Then there was some, I think it was by La Excellence, some document on judgments and committee names and all that. Then, yes, I also read the economic survey summary by Vision, the union budget summary by GS Score, and India Yearbook, the gist of India Yearbook by again GS Score. And I guess that's all. And strategy, I would say one was to go through the last 10-15 years prelims papers. I went through them from the Disha Publications book, the solved test papers. And I think they are the best source for understanding how questions are framed and how options are framed, so that you understand how you can do option elimination. Apart from that, I solved all vision tests, whatever, I think there were 25 or 30 vision tests. And I refer to insights test for environment and history, only for these two areas because I thought I was slightly weak in them. And apart from this, there was some guesstimation and tricks available online, which I had referred to improve my elimination work. So there was one by Civils Daily, one by Insights. Then even Mrunal sir had posted something. Then there's a Telegram channel called IAS Mocks. Even they had given some tricks to help us improve our guesswork. Because ultimately what happens is no matter how much you study for prelims, you are only going to know 35, 40, at max 45 questions, 100% with 100% surety. For the remaining questions, you anyways have to do guesswork. So those tricks I think were slightly useful for that. And my accuracy is not very good. It's about 70%, I would say. I had seen this while solving the mock tests. So I did not attempt much. I avoided attempting too many questions. I think last year I attempted around 90. This year I attempted around 85. This time I did less because last time I cleared at the exact cutoff. So I didn't want to take that risk again. So I attempted only 85 questions. So, and apart from that, I would say I will not even call it luck because calling it luck just mystifies it. It's just a game of chance. It's like poker or like dice that you play. Every number has an equal probability of coming. Now, of those 4 options, whatever you pick, even in Tukka, if that comes right, it comes right. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Prelims is, I would say, the most dicey, the most uncertain stage, and just keep your fingers crossed when you go for prelims, and see which strategy suits you. Because I know there are people who mark all 100 answers and they end up getting 120 plus. So if you want to do that, go ahead with that. Or if you're like me, you just want to play safe, then see how your accuracy is and then decide how many questions you should attempt. But do this beforehand. Just see while practicing mocks, you will realize what kind of accuracy you have. And then while solving the prelims paper, the actual paper, accordingly decide how many questions you should attempt. And the actual solving, I did 3 rounds of the paper. In the first 1 hour, I did round 1 where I marked only those answers which I was 100% sure of. And for the remaining questions, I eliminated as many wrong options as much I could. Then in the second round, which was for around 20-25 minutes, of all those questions where I had managed to eliminate two options, there I finally decided to choose one option. Some guesswork was used in second round. In first round, there was no guesswork. In second round, some guesswork, because it was 50-50. Of the two, I have to choose one, whichever seemed good, then I chose that. After these two rounds, then I mark those bubbles on the OMR sheet. If you think that you would panic while doing all those OMR, while filling all those bubbles at the same time, then you may fill the bubble as and when you decide the answer. But I prefer doing it after the second round. And by the time I managed to fill all the bubbles, I could also count how many questions I had attempted. So then, depending on how much I had attempted till then, I think it was around 77, 78 questions this time, around 80, 82 last time. Then in the last 15 minutes, just I went through those questions where I had managed to eliminate only one option. And then it was pure guesswork, I would say. Out of those three options, I just saw whichever is looking slightly more probable. I marked that only to increase the attempts. This third round was only and only to increase the attempts, so that I could, just clear the cutoff. That was the aim of the third round. So this was my prelims paper solving strategy. If you think 3 rounds is too much, then just go with 2 rounds, and the second round itself, then see how much guesswork you want to do. Even if you're okay with taking chances in those questions where you could eliminate only one option, do that in the second round itself. But remember to fill the OMRs properly. That's it.
Okay, well, that's a pretty detailed strategy, and I'm damn sure that students, they will definitely benefit. But I had a one genuine query. How did you manage the examination temperament? Because what about those sweaty hands? What about that pressure? How do you manage the exam anxiety? Because many of the potential candidates, I feel, because of the bad examination temperament, they commit mistakes, ultimately not able to clear the exam. So how were you able to manage that in all of these three stages?
Thankfully, I never was anxious about any stage. I was slightly worried about prelims, but that thing never happened. That your heartbeats are faster, or you're sweating too much, or you're getting sleepless nights and all that. I think partly this was because I knew that if this doesn't work out, I already had a very good plan B ready. So at least I never had those kind of issues. And I
So
think
the main thing is कि
maybe that in fact helped the performance somewhere, I guess.
तो इसका मतलब आप एक ऐसे पॉइंट पे आ गए जहाँ पे जैसे भगवत गीता में है कि कर्म कर फल की इच्छा मत कर.
Yeah. Like I said, if this happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, I can go peacefully thinking that, okay, I did my best. It's okay. It didn't happen. Now I can nicely live in whichever country I want. That's what I was thinking. But I made sure that I'm giving all my 100%. It wasn't that just because I have a plan B ready, I wouldn't give everything to this. I ensure that I gave all that I had to this exam. But yes, I never made it a question of karna hi hai and all that. It's okay if with whatever efforts I'm putting, if this happens, well and good. But I know that my efforts were 100%, so I wouldn't have any regret as to nahi. So I think that is what resulted in not having those kind of anxiety issues.
I still think that's very close to karm kar phal ki ichha mat kar. That summarizes your strategy. Okay. Okay, so moving on to the next stage. Next stage is our, as I call it, interwar period. Right. So first battle you have won, the prelims. The second war is the mains. So in those 3 months, what was your strategy?
That was the period where I studied like crazy. It was so generally throughout the year I was studying about 10 to 12 hours every day, including the class timings, including the newspaper reading time, everything included 10 to 12 hours. But in those 3.5 months between the prelims and the mains, first, as soon as mains got over, I took off barely 4 or 5 days just to chill, because how much we have to slog for prelims. So once I started my preparation after those 4 or 5 days of relaxation, it was at least 12 to 14 hours every day. I tried to write answers, at least one answer every day, and the time was
So I
divided
would
into
like to
such.
interject a
Yeah,
little here.
yeah,
Just one small disruption, because this point it troubles some. Some people, they wait for the prelims result to
please,
come out
please.
before putting themselves back
Yes,
into
yes,
the
yes,
mains
yes,
preparation.
yes,
You did
yes.
not commit that
No,
mistake.
no, no. Because last time even I was on borderline. From some keys I was clearing, from some keys I wasn't clearing. I think 95 was the cutoff being predicted by institutes last time, and I was around that. Luckily, I cleared the cutoff. I would say please don't wait for the results, because anyways you have just studied for the prelims. Even if you don't clear the prelims, it's not as if you are again going to start preparing for the prelims that will take place 1 year after. So irrespective of what your performance in the prelims is, just start preparing for mains. Maybe start reading the optional, because that is the best. Waiting those 40 days till the result comes, you can very easily cover at least two readings of your optional, of your notes if you have made them, or if you have to make notes, then please just do one very fast reading and make notes in those 40 days. Because like I said, you will, even if you are not clearing the cutoff, you are not going to start preparing for the optional. Sorry, you're not going to start preparing for the prelims immediately. So don't wait, is what I would say.
Okay, so sorry for the introduction. We were on your strategy.
Yeah.
Yes. So after 4 days, you put
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
in.
yeah, everything.
Please
So,
continue.
I tried to put in 12 to 14 hours in those 3.5 months, because I think that is the only certain stage that we have, and my target was to get at least 80 marks above the cutoff, above what the mains cutoff was. And thankfully, because I had a benchmark of last year, I knew I missed the mains cutoff very narrowly. So I knew where I could improve and how I could improve. So like last time, I couldn't revise the static GS portion due to paucity of time. So this time I made sure that I revised the static GS as well. Then last time, some of the portion of my optional paper 2 hadn't been completed. This time I had my notes ready. So everything was ready. I just had to read and revise that again and again. GS static optional, my notes were done. And I had to read them. Current affairs, I had made notes from the mains 365 of last year, mains 365 of 2018. I already had those notes ready. And when the latest mains 365 came, I just went through that, and whatever additions or whatever statistics or anything had changed, I changed that in my notes. Apart from that, for current affairs, my base material remained mains 365, the latest one. It Whenever it comes, for it, even for aspirants who are preparing now, I would suggest don't wait for mains 365 to come. Make your notes from the one that is available right now, because it comes slightly late. So by that time, you should have your notes ready when it comes to some topics. And even if you go through it, you'll find that for some of the subjects, like for environment, for science and technology, things remain more or less same from last year. So do that, like I had done. And apart from that, I wrote my optional test series very well. My time was divided 60-40. So 60% of the time I was preparing for my optional, 40% for GS and SA. SA I did not prepare separately as such, but whatever was being done in GS, I covered in that. Other things that I did was go through the model answers, vision all the tests, model answer for mains, and forum, their full length test, and test of some of the sectional tests like ethics, history, and geography. I went through these model answers. So going through model answers of at least one test series will help you in covering current affairs in a good manner once. Apart from that, there were two institutes. One was Civils Daily and one was IS Baba, who had come up with a list of probable topics, most important topics for mains. So I went through that list, and I did not study whatever answer they had given. I went through that list and uh, studied all those topics properly from Vision magazines or from Mains 365, whichever place it was available. Apart from that, yeah, this time one thing I had done was I'd also gone through mains 365 of last 2-3 years. I just gone through the index, and whichever topic seemed to be in news even today, I just noted down those page numbers just in case I would have to do that. Plus, I had also gone through this was actually MK Yadav sir's idea that go through the economic surveys of the last 3-4 years. So I went through the vision summary of only the volume one of those economic surveys of the past years, because volume two is anyways facts. You don't need to go through that. Volume one to get a good idea of different themes. So that was another thing that I had done. Oh yeah, and every month I was also making notes from Secure. Secure looks very big, but it is not that big. In Secure, avoid anything that is already being covered by Vision. Avoid anything that is from the static portion, because static, anyways, you're studying from some other book. Then avoid. So they write the source of the question, right? So if that source is not a neutral publication, avoid that question. Then avoid anything that seems a little too weird to come at UPSC. So I had made some notes from Secure as well. Mains 365 and Secure, I had my notes ready. I revised static like we had done for prelims. And optional was, I think optional would have taken my score high this time, because that was what I focused on a lot, especially paper 2, because in sociology, paper 1 is more or less easy for anyone who has studied seriously. Uh, Paper 2 is where you have a lot of scope for innovation, a lot of scope to really take your marks high. I think last time somebody got 180 plus. He hadn't posted his mark sheet, but he had told that he got 180 plus in paper 2, but paper 1 his score was less. So I worked a lot on socio in that gap, especially for paper 2. And remaining, like I said, was for GS, whatever I did. And essay, no preparation, no separate preparation as such. I just wrote 6 or 7 essay tests. That's it.
Okay. I have a one small. Usually, students have this doubt that. So you have said that you did the mains 365.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you were not. Matlab, the doubt is that usually students feel, should we do the monthly current affairs, or should we? So did not do monthly current affairs and you just focused upon the mains 365?
Yes. Because I think the monthly current affairs are good from prelims perspective, because you have those very specific facts which may be asked. But mains 365 is very good because you have all the data about one particular issue at one place. What happens is monthly magazine may cover those in 3-4 different issues, but because mains 365 has everything at one place, I would say stick to mains 365.
Okay. So how did you keep yourself abreast with the current affairs? Did you read newspapers, or you read only the editorials in the newspaper?
So in the gap between prelims and mains, and even those 2 months before the prelims, I did not read much newspaper, very little, and that too if I felt like. And even when every day I was reading newspapers, I did not make much notes out of them. But in especially those crucial months, I did not read much newspaper. I preferred listening to AIR News and Rajya Sabha TV, because it also works as a relaxing method. But newspaper, not much. Sometimes, and I did not like making notes. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was I also did one reading of NK Yadav sir's QEP PDFs. Again, so current affairs got covered through that also.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Did you practice answer writing? And like, I know you did, you just mentioned it, but like, what is the importance of this exercise of answer writing, and what is your approach to answer writing? Is there anything which you discovered through your journey?
Yes, so I was writing one answer every day from June 2017 when I left my job. This was because in the vision course we had assignments every day. We had those mini mains apart from the mains test series. So I wrote all of them. So at least one GS answer every day was what I was writing for almost 3 years. Apart from that, in the gap between the prelims and the mains, I wrote total 8 full length tests. So 2 tests per GS paper. And again sociology optional test series as well. Approach to answer writing, one, I would say, uh, I use the common introduction, body, conclusion format only. And I try to use as many facts, as many statistics, as many committee names, committee recommendations, as many judgments, as many things from the economic survey or from the budget or from Niti Aayog documents as much as I could in the body of the answer. I wrote in the points format only. And apart from that, for the conclusion, I tried to be optimistic and finish in such a way that the conclusion was like a way forward. If I wasn't writing way forward in the body, my conclusion was 2 lines of maybe way forward. Or if I had written way forward in the body itself, it was just a summary of that way forward. I tried to fill the pages. I have a big handwriting plus good spacing. I could easily fill the pages. I'm not very good at making diagrams and flowcharts, so barely in 4-5 questions across those 4 GS papers, I must have made diagrams and flowcharts. But if you can make flowcharts, I've seen some of the past toppers papers. I think flowcharts can help you save time. If your writing speed is not that good, do try and practice making flowcharts. And apart from this, one very simple thing for any answer writing when it comes to GS is understand what are the different parts that the question is trying to ask and address every part. That is enough. You don't need to think too much about, okay, do I write this? Do I write that? Nowadays, the questions themselves have so many parts, so many ready parts, that addressing those parts itself in, say, every part for 3-4 points itself is more than enough. And Vision has this keyword document, if you have seen, as to say if the question says discuss, what to do, if it says elaborate, what to do. You can go through that also once if you want to understand how to write questions. But nowadays, if you see the questions, especially GS2, GS3, those kind of, you don't have keywords in a lot of questions. They're just very specific kind of questions are coming. And
Okay.
lastly, just at least for GS1, GS2, GS3, very quickly go through the question paper once before starting the answer, before starting writing the answers. And first, write the 15 markers that you know well. Then write the first 3 questions because they give you a first impression. Then write all those 10 markers that you know well. And then finally write the remaining questions. Please try and attempt all the questions. Even if you think you don't know the answer to any question, just create an answer and write it. Like, nobody knew what Cyberdome was, but you know what cyber security is. You know a lot of things about cyber security. Just write. It's enough to fill 2 pages, whatever you know on cyber security. Or even that, what was that? Traditional medicinal knowledge, patent and something. Like filling 3 pages, whatever you remember from, I forgot, there was some convention, right? We learned an environment. Just fill 3 pages with that. Create answer. That's what I'll say. For answers that you know well, of course, write properly, write as systematically as you can. But please don't leave any question, because even for this Bakar kind of answers, you may get 2-3 marks, more than enough to keep your score
No,
high.
in fact, I tell you, at times it happens when you are unaware of the like the topic and you're writing on the spot. So you're not, but so you're like you have to completely think on the spot. So many times those original answers, they get you much better marks
I agree.
because yes, because then your mind is free flowing.
Yeah.
So that's also there. At times, that's how UPSC surprises us.
Yeah.
Okay, Neha, next that I have for you is for yeah, please.
Sorry,
You want to
I
say something?
totally forgot about ethics. For ethics, solve the case studies first, then those first 3 theory questions, and then the theory questions that you know well, and then the remaining theory questions. There is no time to go through the case studies once, so just start with solving the case studies, all the 6 case studies, and then just once go through the theory questions and decide the order in which you want to attempt that. And for case studies, have a set of dilemmas ready. I have written on my blog about all those dilemmas. Just fit those dilemmas in any case study. They will generally apply in almost every case study. And also have a set of those ethical theories ready. So for any case, you can use, in cases where you have to give 3 or 4 alternatives and then choose the best one, use those. So one alternative can be from the utilitarian theory, one can be from the deontological theory, one can be from Rawls' theory of justice. So keep those frameworks ready in your mind. I've written about it on my blog. You can go through it to see what I mean. And I think of the 4 GS papers, GS4 is the one which can really take your score high. So do try and focus a lot on GS4. Because GS1, GS2, GS3, if you see most of the top 200 rankers, the marks would be 95 to 110. That is the range. But GS4 can really take it high. So pay special attention to GS4. Depending on if you want to join some other classes, join, or whichever books you want to refer. Do refer. I had studied entire GS4 through question and answers only. I referred to Vision's last 3 years model answers, Lukman's case workbooks, case study workbook and theory workbook, and GS course answer writing workbooks, again for theory and for case studies. So in this question answer format, I completed the entire ethics syllabus, and I think once you have those set of questions ready in your mind, almost the same questions are going to get asked in the paper. So you can complete the paper fast as well. And in this year kind of paper, if you get where a question might seem as if it is from GS2 or from PubAd optional, even there, try and use as many ethical terms as you can. So there are like barely 20-25 ethical words, like those given by the second ARC, those given by the Nolan report. Every answer, keep on writing those terms. It may seem relevant, it may not seem relevant, but keep on writing those words in every answer is what I'll say. Quite yes.
Okay. Right. So, we come to know about a new skill that you have. You are into writing blogs. You maintain blog.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell our listeners what's the address of your blog?
Yes, sir.
So that we can catch hold of you there.
So I've just started it recently, and to mention all my strategies, maybe they might help some new students. So the address is nehabhosleblog.wordpress.com. Neha Bhosle blog.
Okay.
NEHABHOSLE Neha Bhosle blog.wordpress WORDPRESS.com. So that's my blog. I'm
Great.
yet to update my sociology strategy. Apart from that, I've written about my general study book list strategy, how I covered current affairs, how I approached answer writing. I've mentioned everything. I've also shared my notes, my test papers, and
Wow.
I'll be sharing sociology very soon.
That's good. That's so good. You're trying to help all those
Hope so.
students who are struggling there. That's very noble. That's very good. Okay. Right. We missed one small issue, and the issue is that for every student, even for all India rank 1, not all the subjects are his or her strengths. There would be some subjects which will be the strengths, and there would be some subjects which will be weaknesses. So how did you approach those subjects which you found very, very tough? Like, for example, some students might find art and culture to be like wow, they will be like ki sir namaskar. So like, how did you approach these very tough ones?
So for me, those topics were geography, environment, and to some extent history also. What I did for prelims, I referred to, apart from vision which I was doing, I referred to insights so that I could cover some more questions from those areas. Seeing more questions and just going through those answers is a good revision of those topics again. And for mains, again, for those areas, apart from the vision model answers, I refer to forum model answers. If you don't like a subject, like at least it happens with me, I just cannot study it after a point of time. Because I hate geography, I started reading GC Leong, and it took me like almost 1 hour to read even one page. So I just gave up reading GC Leong and shifted to PMFIS notes. So read easy study material for subject that you don't like, for subjects that you're finding difficult. And there are a lot of easy material available for almost all subjects. So say if you think your quality is weak, then M. Lakshmikant, I think, is written in a easy language only. It's like notes itself.
Yeah.
But if you're finding it difficult to read, then maybe refer to some coaching institute's notes, or maybe refer to handwritten notes of some institute if possible. So just because you don't like a subject, you cannot ignore it. And unfortunately, I didn't like geography and environment, which have a very high weightage in prelims, thanks to IFOS.
Yeah.
So what I did was refer to easier study material for that subject. You just have to read it. Luckily, because the subjects that I didn't like were all in GS1, and GS1 also had sociology. So I knew that my marks would not fall down in that paper, because even if I don't do good in history, geography, I knew society could take my score high. So likewise, see in which of the mains paper your weak subject areas lie, and try to maximize your score in some other area in that paper. So if your polity is not that good, then try and maximize in social justice and IR. If your economy is slightly weaker, try and maximize in, say, security or science and technology. But again, polity and economy are two, I would say, very heavyweight areas, and at least do these two very, very well. Avoid making any one of these two your weak areas, because they have the
Yeah.
highest weightage in almost all the states.
True, that's very true. So coming to your optional next, because like so we dealt with the subjects, strength and weakness. Next is optional. So how should one decide what his or her optional should be?
Yeah. So I'm a very good person to tell this, because while I was working, I had chosen management as my optional, because I thought it would take less time to prepare. I've already studied it for 2 years. But then I realized that because there are no ready-made notes available for it, no proper coaching institutes for it, I was spending a lot of time reading the books myself, making the notes myself, and it was too time consuming, and it was a burden. It was just like I couldn't give enough time to GS. I couldn't give enough time to current affairs. I was just studying my optional only. So one important thing whenever you're choosing an optional shouldn't just be that you have studied that subject in college or not. Also see if there is proper guidance available for that subject. Are there enough ready-made books available for that subject? Are there some good topper notes available for that subject? If whatever you have studied in college and these kind of factors, everything ticks well, then of course you can take your graduation or your post-graduation subject as your optional. But apart from that, then if you're good at it, I think science optionals are scoring very high nowadays. Uh, Especially if you're from one of those good engineering institutes, do try and see if you can do well in mathematics or physics or one of those engineering optionals. I think they are very high scoring, and because they the pool of students is very less in that. I think you can get proper guidance from your coaching sir as well, as opposed to say a sociology where any class can have say maybe 500, 600 students. Apart from that, if you're good with your regional language literature is what I would say would be another good choice for optional. If you can, I couldn't. I'm not very good at either writing or reading my regional language. But if you can, they are also getting very high marks nowadays. I think last year someone got 320 plus in Kannada literature and Tamil literature. Those.
That's very
Then,
good.
if none of these two work out for you, then look at optionals where the marks are coming in a good number. Because what people say, I don't know how true it is, but they say that say a history is less scoring, a philosophy is less scoring as compared to a sociology or a PSIR or anthropology nowadays, or even say a public administration is less scoring. Geography, they say, is very syllabus heavy. So keep in mind all these factors. What are the marks that are being achieved in those optional currently? How vast is the syllabus? And then shortlist whichever subject that you like. And if you want to take sociology, I would say the only one thing about socio is, unlike say a PSIR where there is Shubhra Ranjan ma'am, and even if you just sit in Shubhra ma'am's class and write notes and just reproduce those notes in your paper, you can very easily get 270, at least a 270. Sociology, unfortunately, doesn't have that good teachers. No one like Shubhra ma'am is available for sociology. So just you have to do a bit of mix and match of notes when it comes to paper one, paper two. You have to decide which institute you want to join, depending on whatever you prefer. But yeah, like I said, there is no one Shubhra ma'am kind of a professor available for social.
Okay. Okay, so that brings us to our last question. And the last question is like the toughest one. And the question is actually because it's very genuine question that, you know, during the course of preparation, at times the students, they go through very tough phases. And when there are multiple attempts, like there are students who continue for like 5 attempts, 6 attempts, because they feel they have the potential, and that, you know, some one small thing is like just bringing them down. So how did you maintain, you know, that or what would be your advice that how to maintain that morale, how to keep the motivation going, how to keep the fire burning? So
One,
your views on that.
first be very clear why it is that you couldn't clear last time. If you couldn't clear prelims, see by what margin you couldn't clear. If you couldn't clear it by, say, a margin of 4 or 5 marks, then okay, I would say your preparation is on the right track. But if you couldn't clear it by, say, a margin of 15 or 20 marks, then it would be over optimistic to assume that your preparation is going in the right direction. Change your preparation strategy, take guidance from, say, a coaching institute or from some seniors or from some friends or someone who has cleared prelims properly, and only then proceed with the next attempt. Similarly, if you couldn't clear mains in your last attempt, if it was by a very narrow margin, it's okay. You just need, say, maybe 10 marks per paper. Like I couldn't clear with a very narrow margin. I knew 10 marks per GS paper and 30 marks for optional, and that too because I couldn't complete it last year. Similarly, see where you lack. Why couldn't you clear mains? I see a lot of people who keep on writing 3 or 4 mains and don't clear it every year. There is definitely something going wrong with your way of studying, because say if you are missing it narrowly every year, by now you should have understood why you are missing it. And if you are missing it by a very huge margin every year, then of course, then right in the first year itself you should have improved, you should have changed your strategy, you should have sought a proper direction, a proper guidance from someone. So before you go for your next attempt, see what went wrong. A lot of people have this complaint that they're not able to understand what went wrong. I think seeing the mark sheet may give you a decent idea of what went wrong, because say if your marks in XYZ paper are less, it cannot happen that you think that you wrote very well but the marks are less. I don't think UPSC is that random. You should see that okay, if in GS1 your marks are less, you have to improve somewhere in GS1. Yes, you may not be able to understand that were, were you given less marks for your society questions or for your history question or for your geography question. Yes, that is not easy to understand. But at least you should have this in your mind that okay, I got less marks here, that means I have to improve that particular paper. How to improve it? One, you probably would be joining a test series, be it for even if you don't clear prelims, for prelims or for mains, for again writing a test series for mains. So in your next attempt, whenever you are writing those test series, see that you are improving in that particular area where you think you were lagging behind. Say if you couldn't clear the prelims itself, see that in the test series in the next attempt you are getting at least 90, 95 in every mock test. If you couldn't clear mains, improve your answer writing, work on the feedback that you're getting on your answers. Prelims obviously you won't be getting feedback, but for mains, work on the feedback that you're getting for your answers, and then uh, try to consistently improve your marks in the mock tests that you write, so that by the time you write that actual paper, you have improved to a very good degree. And if it is the interview stage where unfortunately you couldn't get marks, then I am not very sure what to advise, because I haven't given any mock interviews. So I think someone else would be a better person to guide about that.
Okay. Well, such a wonderful session, Neha, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot from your experience. Uh, I mean, the things which I striked me, like your easygoing attitude, the kind of a mental resilience that you have shown during your preparation, that usually we see candidates saying that it was very tough, but you took it in your stride, you took it head on, and you worked hard, and hence you got the results. And frankly, when we opened up with our first question, you made it sound so simple, but in your answers we got to know you have studied a lot.
But I would just
So
like to say
attitude
that
is,
I'm sure there are people who have studied a lot more harder than me. Who've been studying for many long years, and I really hope all of them do manage to get a good rank and do manage to do well in life. All the best to them also. Because you know what happens, everyone only sees the toppers and they think, oh, look how hard they have studied, how well they have studied. But I really wish there was some way that people would also know about them, who a lot of them I'm sure must have studied a lot more than us, but
yeah,
unfortunately
yeah,
couldn't be where we are. I just
yeah.
hope that they also get noticed one day. So that's what.
Well, humility, compassion, empathy, and positivity. You are going to definitely make a great civil servant.
Hopes,
And
inshallah.
wish you all the best, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Thank you so
time. Thank you for your time. Namaskar.
much.